Okay, Jacob, talk to me about one of your favorite memories that you have with your dad.
So, one of my favorite memories that I have with my dad was when he was actually helping me on a project of mine for college, actually. We spent the night here at Grace, and he helped me out with sound for a song that I was working on. Honestly, the amount of tremendous support that he showed me through all that, and the fact that he was able to keep such a cool and calm head while I was starting to lose it under the pressure. I can't describe in words how amazing he is for that. You got me to think about music in a different way, because I was just thinking about it from a producer's sort of sense, like what kind of EQs need to happen, what kind of frequency modulations need to happen, all that sort of stuff. He taught me how to listen to song number one that was already produced, compare it to my song that I was making, and hear the similarities and differences between them, which was something I had not ever really thought about. And then taking my song that I was making and comparing it back to the first sample track again to see if I had gotten closer or farther away from it. And there was a moment when he actually, when I was starting to lose it, he actually made a reference to crane drivers, and he said that no action is oftentimes a one-step thing. He explained how a crane driver, when moving their cargo, will stop to get their cargo to stop. They'll actually back up because their cargo will still have momentum, and then rejoin where their cargo is to get their cargo to stop in the correct position. And although I didn't get it at the time, I do now, and it is something that I really highly value.
So that was your favorite memory. That was like more of like a
recent, yeah.
Young adulthood, recent. What about something from childhood? Like what do you remember about your dad, like growing up?
One of my favorite memories from childhood is when my dad would take my brother and I disc golfing, and the three of us would just spend time together bonding over a sport that all three of us love. There's another fun memory that I have is when my dad and my two brothers and I would play a racing game together, and it is always such a good time. It's a time filled with laughter, bonding, joy, oftentimes shouting, but still, it's a nice bonding experience. It really is. I think something that my dad has instilled in me is the ability to think things through creatively and come up with solutions that are outside of the box. For instance, if there's a problem or something is broken, then he's taught me to look at how to fix it myself without having to call someone to do it for me.
My dad used to play golf a lot, and as he moved on a little bit and I got older, he let me play with him, but he loved the game. He was not terribly good at it, which meant as I got into it and I learned that I wasn't terribly good at it, it gave me a lot of freedom. I learned making mistakes is okay. It's how you recover from them that matters. One of my favorite memories was he hit a shot that was a worm burner. It's just 3 inches off the ground, rocket straight down the fairway, and it hit a big flock of geese. And you saw feathers go flying. And he wasn't upset that he'd hit the ball badly. He wasn't upset that it didn't go where he wanted. He was upset that the goose stopped his ball because he could have played it 30, 40 yards on down. It was, he was happy enough with what he had done and willing to play it. He just didn't want to, he didn't want to have something stop it prematurely. All the rest of us enjoyed goose feathers flying. But yeah, the other thing I'd like to mention, my dad did play video games with me, and he was terrible. He was abysmal. If anyone who's old enough remembers the Atari 2600, right? Super Breakout was one of the games I played a lot, and I could beat him handily, regularly, all the time, but he still played, even though he knew pretty much sitting down he was going to lose, because he just wanted to hang out, spend time, and be with. And I learned an appreciation for not necessarily the competitive side of life, but instead the communion, just being with someone else. My dad was super faithful. He didn't serve in a church. He always attended with us, right? But when I say faithful, he got up at 5 a.m. every day, without fail. He'd be up. He'd take care of all the things in the house that needed to be taken care of. He'd go to work, and he'd come home and take care of all the things that he had at home. So there was a sense that I learned from him. You have the things you need to do, you get those done, and then you can move on. But if you've made a commitment to someone, you honor that commitment. You make sure you're there when you say you'll be there. Do your best. And yeah, it was the 5 a.m. thing. I've never quite followed that. I'm a night owl, but still, I can appreciate, and I learned from watching that example, how to be faithful in your job, in your life, with your family. My dad's gotten older, and he's got a lot of trouble just physically moving. I wish I could spend more time with him, present with the boys, with the family. It's very difficult now. But what I would love to tell him is that we miss him. And it's hard because you get to a certain age and you feel like, well, I'm just sitting here waiting for the world to be done with me. I really don't want him to think that. I really want him to be part of, and it's hard. I will say though, I love him dearly. And one of the things that probably my boys know, and I know, he's always smiling. I don't think there's a moment where he's crabby and great. He's so, whatever moment he's in, he loves. And I love that joy. It's infectious. Legacy is the thing that you don't have control of, because it's the thing that exists when you're done and gone. So I don't know, genuinely, I don't know. I don't have a grand vision for what I want the world to remember me as. My greatest fear and my greatest desire is the same thing, that my kids don't need me. That they can live independently, live in God's love, and be aware of His presence and the Spirit's presence, and not need my guidance right? So part of my legacy is my hope is independence and trust and faith in God and the Spirit to guide them. The other thing, if I can hope for anything, it's that the fruits of the Spirit carry on. Things that in the moment, all of us, when we get frustrated with something, are not good at. I'm hoping that all the negatives pass away and the positives continue to exist, that we see those carried on through generations. You know, carrying on from my grandfather, who was a pastor, right? And his faithfulness, my dad's faithfulness, you know, those things I'm hoping continue on down. Howdy.
Howdy.
I'll say, I love opportunities to spend time with you, with your brothers, working on something like a music project or a school project or something like that, where it's a chance for both of us to learn. Because I'm not just teaching. I'm not an authority on everything. I'd love to be. I'm not. I know it well enough to know. But I learned from you. I learned from your reactions. Okay, this is something I was thinking about earlier, but just to share one of my favorite memories. When you were about 3 years old, we took you to a petting zoo. You won't remember this at all, but everybody I talked to, I told this. We went to a petting zoo, we came back from it, and I spent the entire time just amazed at your reactions to the things that I thought were mundane. You saw a sheep and it was amazing. So I'm starting to see the world through your eyes, and it renewed my view of how amazing the creation is that we have. I gotten bored by it, but that was really cool.
Yeah. On the one hand, though, I do remember the one sort of animal feeding zoo I do remember the first time was the drive-through one. And that was on the way to GWL, and that was I remember screaming.
Well, big animals sticking their heads in your window, I suppose, is a little freaky, but yeah. But I love the opportunity to spend time with you, playing games, just doing things that have no pressure associated with anything competitive in the world. Slightly competitive between us, but usually the greatest challenge we have playing disc golf is finding the discs that we've launched off into the woods.
So, especially during fall, because like your one, I remember distinctly in State Road Park, you launched a disc and it got buried underneath leaves, and it took us 45 minutes to find.
Okay, it didn't help that the disc was orange.
It's true.
It was the color of all the leaves we were chasing. I've since changed. I buy different colored discs to get better with that. But yeah, I enjoy those opportunities to just be with you. To really, I guess the church word would be fellowship.
Yes.
But it's just hanging.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Chilling, relaxing.
Chillax.
Chillax.
Yeah. Ratchet and Clank, played a lot of that. And other video games, racing games, those kinds of things. The really interesting games to play are the ones that require cooperation. The ones where you have to work together or something doesn't get accomplished.
There's a certain cooking game, which I'm pretty sure we can't say the name of because of copyright, but it requires one person to work on one part of a food dish, another person to work on another part, and you all come together to make the plate of food or not, and sometimes it gets really chaotic.
Nobody will play this game with me anymore. I don't know if I got too competitive or aggressive or what, but I can't get anyone in the house to play that with me. Sadly.
It's just
I really
stressful.
enjoy it.
It's stressful for me.
But I love those games.
I honestly don't think that Overcooked would care, because have you ever seen this?
Oh yeah, please take all the video you can.
Yeah, share any footage that you want. Of
It is Overcooked.
Yeah.
You know what we've gotten into recently? There's another game where it's a cooperative thing. You have to move things together, and if you don't move collectively, it's like all the bad TV shows and things you've seen of somebody trying to move a sofa through a door that's not quite wide enough. It's that, without actually having to worry about destroying a door. That's the other nice thing about video games. But, what else? What random things that I have dragged you along to could you think of?
I mean, you've dragged me along, I remember, since I was young, and you being lighting designer for Grace, I remember being dragged along, sometimes willingly, sometimes unwillingly, to watch and learn, and from that I've actually really grown a passion for theatrical lighting and the work that we do here.
You were running a camera here during a worship service at the age of 11, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You were one of the youngest camera operators I've known, and it's translated now. You do that. You can program lights. You can run sound. You can do pretty much all the things the technical volunteers are called to do. But I can't take credit for that. I just brought you. You learned. Your curiosity, your desire is what drove all of that, that's amazing to me, and it's very gratifying.
I will say, though, take credit where credit is due, because you were the one who actually taught me most, if not all, of what I know. If you don't have a desire, if you don't have a passion for it, I can tell you over and over and over, it's never going to stick. And these things are, this kind of thing, finding your passion, this has been for me, for your brothers, this is the thing that I really want for you guys, is I want you to find the thing that God's made you good at, grab hold of it, and hold on as tight as you can and just chase it. If it's audio, if it's lighting, if it's sound, if it's, I don't know, DJ work, who knows, right? There's a place for every skill. There's genuinely a place for every skill in the kingdom, and just want you to find your passion. Even from a young age, I remember, even back at our previous church, you were the tech guy there, doing sound, lights, graphics, all at the same time, which I still don't know how you managed to do all that. But I do remember spending like every single Sunday that I could up there with you, and that is honestly what started me down the path of the technical passion that I have. And then coming to Grace and seeing you absolutely turn the platform from a complete black into what in my mind at the time was a marvelous colorscape is what I can only describe it as. Even at like the age of like 8 or something, even at that young age, I was absolutely amazed. And then to watch you change things and modify things, and just getting to learn from you as you're doing it, even though I knew at the time you were still learning the system as well. Still learning. Never stops. Yes. For any kids out there, you can always learn. There is always something to learn. Anyways, that's separate edit. Yeah. So even as you're learning the system, and still are, it amazed me. And I think what really hooked me on lighting and what made me want to come willingly to get dragged along is honestly when I saw the lights that you were able to actually move, the lights that you were able to point. And the ones that were static, the ones that could turn on and off, change color, those were great. But I think the ones that you could make spin around, make crazy patterns on the floor, I think those ones really captured the imagination of 8-9-year-old me. And I think that's what kind of jump-started me into really wanting to learn, really wanting to grow in the passion. And then seeing people behind the cameras and with the headsets, that also took me down another passion road, and that to me is still amazing, and I'm hats off to all camera operators, because you guys are amazing, and then just getting to learn sound from you, getting to learn graphics from you, and still to this day, just getting to watch you do what you do behind, whether it's behind the light board, behind the soundboard, getting to watch you work, getting to watch your mental gears turn, to watch the way that you flow, the way that you process things, the way that you understand things, the way that you comprehend things and your process. It absolutely astounds me still to this day, and I don't think I will ever stop learning from you. For me, you've always been a stand-up guy. You've always been there when things needed done. You've always been there when people need you. You've always been there when things are going downhill. You've always been the one who, when I'm having an awful day, or when I was having an awful day, I knew I could come to just vent, and you wouldn't get frustrated with me for venting. You wouldn't get upset with me for venting. You would listen, and that is something that I really, really admire, and I trust you, and I feel safe because I know that you won't get angry at me for just for me venting to you. And to me, that's being upstanding, being willing to impart knowledge, being willing to impart wisdom, to be willing and gracious with your time, to be humble with who you are. I think those are the kinds of things that have really, really stood out to me. I was gonna say, just for a final thing, I'm still gonna whoop your butt at racing later.
Yeah, whatever.
There you go.
It's okay. I'll knock you off the track. I'm good.
All right. Love you, Dad.
Be good.